welcome. Thank you for tuning in.
Hey, everybody. What's up, Hilo News family? I'm Janae Tate, the founder of Hilo News, but you already know that. Thank y'all for joining us for another year of producing news and content for South Florida Black and Brown Millennials. Today, we're doing something a little bit new, but not too much. We started this last year, but I wanted to bring back the roundup. And what we're going to be doing is recapping all our top stories and hot topics for the week. And I'm going to have some special guests that'll come in from time to time, but you'll also be talking with our new Hilo News team members. Some of them are here with me tonight, and I can't wait for you guys to meet them. So without further ado, I want to jump right into it because it's so much juicy stuff we got to talk about, so many things we have to break down. But I want to bring to the stage first Niamh Daniel. She is our hard news political government reporter, and she's dope. She's been in the game for a long time. Niamh, tell them, hey girl, hey.
How y'all doing? In my Wendy Williams voice. I hope it sounded like that. Not sure.
I'm going.
How you doing? Good night. Good day.
Good day, good night, whenever they watching it, girl.
Oh, me. Yeah, so I'm glad to be here. I'm so happy to be part of the team. Hilo News. This is so much fun for me. Definitely, I am a hard news person, but I enjoy the topics that we write about here, and definitely writing about my community is where my heart is. So I'm happy to be part of the team because of my love for my community.
You know what? I forgot, and please forgive me. I forgot to tell them that you're also a media entrepreneur. And also with us working together, guys, we have a media partnership. And so Niamh has her own media company, Caribbean American Web. And so she's going to help us with covering that community. And I'm so happy about that because a lot of people don't realize how, much the Caribbean culture influences South Florida. So I definitely, we're going to be having more stories from Caribbean American Web, and Niamh is going to help us with that content.
Yes, for sure. You can follow Caribbean American Web on Instagram, and I started that as well to show the contributions that Caribbean Americans make to the community, and it's more about positive news and inspirational stuff. I know that we kind of do like that. We like the fluff, but it's more about showing someone's journey and what they had to accomplish and how they give back. So definitely something you want to get into.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the content you do. And I'm so excited about like the work that we're going to do together. So y'all watch out. Okay. We taking over.
For sure.
Uh, the other beautiful woman I want to bring on, who's joining us tonight, a new Hilo News team member. She and I, it's crazy. We've been following each other for a long time on Facebook. I know her name in writing. She said we've met like I think in passing, but not officially. But she must have said in my head like she's been supporting me. We talked. Y'all know if y'all follow me on Facebook, I'm always having some hot topic, and Corinne is on there giving me good points and good talking and discussion. And she actually has a marketing and business background, and she's coming on to help Hilo News turn that part of our business around and help us with growth and success. So without further ado, I want to bring Corinne Stewart onto the screen. Hey, Corinne.
Hey, hey, everybody. Thank you so much. And it's going to be great working with Hilo News. I look so forward to our partnership and what's about to come because it's going to be some good things coming.
Yes.
So I am, I work with brands and with small businesses mostly. I help them get their stuff together, basically. I make sure that they're opening their business to the global market. So hopefully we can do that with Hilo News and let everyone so everyone can be talking about them. Okay. And it's
Yes.
so good to meet you, Niamh. It's just a great thing. All these this melanin
I know,
Oh,
right?
now. Oh,
being successful and things like that. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
all this Black girl magic, guys.
Black girl
Before we
magic,
came on,
exactly.
we're talking about hair and culture and stuff. Like, I love the energy just off rip. Like, they were talking, and this is their first time actually meeting. I thought they already knew each other. I didn't even introduce. I'm like, oh, they know each other already. They're like, no, and that's just what the vibe is, and I love that you guys are helping me create that culture with the company. I'm so excited about what we have coming up this year. Y'all, we gonna hop into these stories. So we got a lot of things that happened this week, and I want the people to know about it. We're gonna break some things down for them. We're gonna jump into elections, and Niamh is gonna help us kind of guide that conversation because that's her thing. She's our girl. She knows what's going on in these political streets.
For sure.
So now tell us about the elections that happened this week.
Yes, on Tuesday was the Democratic primary elections. In that race, we had some elections for the state as well as national elections, federal elections. So that you were talking about Congress, there's some special seats open because a handful or a good amount of Black lawmakers, they resigned from their seats to run for Alcee Hastings' seat, late U.S. Congressman Alcee Hastings. He died last April from cancer. So, everybody was trying to get that seat. And then because of that, some other seats open, like in the state house and so forth. So, Sheila actually, can somebody help me with the name? I don't want to mess up anyone's name because
Ren had it right.
Sherfless.
Okay,
Sherfless McCormick.
Sheila Sherfless McCormick, and now Congresswoman, well, soon to be Congresswoman, Sheila Sherfless McCormick. She won the Democratic primary, and so now. And actually, she won this seat. I apologize. So now she was running for this seat for a long time. She'd been trying to get this seat for a while, and she's kind of been practicing, I would say. But I think it's a big thing to see someone young in this seat because the seat has been held by Alcee Hastings for a good while, and and we have a lot of older politicians, especially when it comes to the Black community. We have a lot of older politicians that have been there for decades. And, even though, it's great that we do have a representation, however, we're a different generation. And so we need to have representatives. That was my opinion. Forgive me if you don't agree, but we should have representation that looks like us. And that will be there for a while because as an older person, you understand certain needs, but you don't understand our needs that well. And so it's good to see younger faces. When she gave her acceptance speech, she was teary-eyed and talked about, being a single mother before she met her husband. And she never thought that this day, like, she would be, a congresswoman. And now she is. As I said, she's been trying to get this seat for a while. And I really admire that because it's like, basically having a doll and a dream because Alcee Hastings is a staple. Like, he's iconic, like, so
and she ran against Alcee in some races that you're saying?
Yeah,
like she's
before
running.
in the past.
Wow.
And she lost.
She ran before him in the past and lost. But the thing is, what she did was got her name out there, got her face out there, So because that's how I met her, because she's been running for a while. So that's how I was familiar with her name. So she was able to get her name out there. And even though she ran against a whole bunch of other career politicians who, again, I said resigned to run for this position, she won. So that was a huge accomplishment for her. She's also the first woman to hold a seat. So that's another accomplishment for her. So one of the things that she was saying is, like, in her quote, she said, the day she received, when she made her acceptance speech, you could say, she said, I can't fill his shoes. I can't fill Alcee Hastings' shoes, but I'll be doing this in my heels on for sure. So yeah, go ahead. You're a badass.
Yeah.
I love it.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to see what were some of the things that she ran on. It was interesting because she campaigned on sending Americans a monthly $1,000 check.
Mm.
I
I
mean,
remember
it's
that
always
billboard.
interesting when politicians say that because as we know, that's not quite so easy, right? That's quite not easy to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how she works to bring that to fruition.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, she still has to get votes on that, so I'm not sure.
Now, was she the in this race? Because I know that race was, like you said, it was filled. It was very competitive. But I remember there was talk of a woman candidate that was raising a lot of money and also self-financing. Is she that candidate they were talking about? Like she was out raising other people, and I think because she kind of pushed through from the primary election to the general election.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
so I think
that's her
I was
because she won the general, the special election. It was really. Mhm.
Mm. And it's an interesting point that you made, and I hate to say it, it's something that, I've said and had conversations with people, off the record or just, in casual conversation, especially people who do this work in the community. And sadly to say, I hate to say it this way, but it's just no other way to say it. A lot of our leaders unfortunately die in the seat and there's no succession plan. And so I get what you're saying, even though Alcee Hastings is a legend, he's done so many great things, and it's not even like indictment towards him. Is more so that like the community as a whole, there's so many politicians in our community who may not be doing all that they can be doing for us. Maybe they can't relate to like the younger generations that are now, especially millennials. We're in a acquisition phase of life. We're voting, we're buying houses, we're building families. We have a different experience from baby boomers and even some Gen Xers, and there's that disconnect. And a lot of times there's no succession plan to pass the torch. And a lot of times you kind of gotta like fight it out, or there's not, people aren't really handing back. They're kind of like, I'm going to stay in this seat forever. I don't care if I'm not even being effective in this seat anymore. I'm just going to stay here.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that this new wave of politicians we see coming into office, like they bring some new energy, some new blood, and some new a new way of of,
Ideas.
of leading
Yes.
for our communities.
But
Definitely well said.
yeah, and it's good that you said that because one of the reasons why the same politicians went over and over again, especially someone like Alcee Hastings, and I'm not saying that he did not do a good job in his seat, but it's because the population that votes. So
That is
That's a great
correct.
point.
yeah, who's going to the polls for these more local elections are older people.
Right. That is so
Mhm.
true.
So that's why you keep getting the same candidates over and over again.
Right. We're not voting like
That's
that.
true. That's true. And I'm always, screaming, we need to get into the game. We can't be on the sidelines. These things affect us. So I think seeing younger people in office, I think we're seeing a shift. And I
Right.
also feel like, 2020 was such an eye opener for everybody from life with the pandemic and then the election. I think people are a little bit more engaged and tuned in than they have been before.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'm hoping that doesn't change.
And there are a lot
I-
of there are a lot of not new, but young people out there that have been campaigning over the last few years. It's just that, some of them are
That's
just
true.
getting their feet wet. And as well as what Corinne said, that, we're not voting, we're not paying attention like we should. If we were, then they obviously would get further. So they have to fight and work harder, as any freshman would, on a football team or any team, to just get out there, so but Darrell Campbell, Democrat, he was successful in his feat. Of course, he took over his farmer's boss job, and he is now going to be the House rep for Florida District, House District 94, and that is in Fort Lauderdale, parts of Fort Lauderdale, Plantation, Wilton Manor. And his former boss, Bobby DuBois, I hope I'm saying that correct. He actually was one of the several people who resigned to run for Alcee Hastings' seat, and because of that, Campbell was able to get this opportunity. And
Mm.
Yes, he did well. He's 35 years old, so that's another young chap there that is going to be our face.
Wait, Du Bois left his job, didn't get the new job, and now his old employee took it.
Yeah, girl.
I just find that kind of kind of funny. Okay, I'm sorry. You could keep, you could keep going.
Yeah, so we just found, I just got an update from, well, I saw Sun Sentinel had an update that he's going to be taking office. Campbell is going to be taking office in 2 weeks, but prior we weren't sure when he was going to take office. And now with him being taken office in 2 weeks, he will be able to, start drafting legislation and making laws. So this is going to be great. And I think he's the only Florida lawmaker that has locks. So that's beautiful to see a natural brother doing his thing. And he's a Howard grad, so HBCU for sure. And
That's great.
Behavioral therapist and a social worker. So he really gives back to the community in that sense, but we have to see what he's going to do at the state capitol.
Yeah, we're definitely looking to see that. And I thought that was a really cool point when I saw that in your story about him with the locks and just his background. And it's like you said, people have been putting in that work and they've been campaigning, but it's like now it seems like the opportunities that they're winning and the experience that they gained over the years is paying off. And I mean, let's not glaze over the fact that he's model, he's cute.
Looks like
cute.
like a commercial for like a product or something.
I saw some shirtless pictures too. I said, no, this is not appropriate. He's a lawmaker.
I went on his page when I saw the part. I'm like, who is this? When I went on his page, I have seen him around and maybe met him before. His face looks very familiar.
I never saw him.
His face looks familiar. Maybe I seen him at an event or something before. And when I saw that picture on the page, I said, well, who is Jesus? No, I'm just saying, but
yeah, I didn't recognize him, so it was kind of like a shock to me. There are some other legislative aides that have run for office in Miami-Dade County that are more well known, and that have not been able to accomplish what he has. But it is a situation where he got an opportunity that was different from theirs and from how the political landscape is in Miami-Dade County. So shout out to him. He did a great thing. Yeah.
That's true. And you know what? When you mentioned that, there is a guy, oh my gosh, I think his name is Matthew or Marcus or something like that. He's run for, I think, city commission in Miami. He's a young guy. I think he's run for Congress before. He's been trying to get his name out there. And like you said, sometimes it's hard to break through. And hopefully one day he'll have success. But you're right. It's kind of like that timing. Everything has to match up with politics. And also too, I think sometimes, I don't know if you guys, think there's any truth to this, but I also feel like especially when you're very young, and like you said, a lot of the voting population is an older demographic, they may not think that you have the experience or that you're trustworthy. They're used to a certain name, they're used to a certain person. And so it takes, a lot of work to get to this position. And so I don't think that's a small feat at all. I congratulate him on that, because a lot of people don't realize the work that goes into a campaign like that, and what they have to do to get elected.
A lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah, for sure. Corinne had mentioned earlier that she's helped with some campaigns, so she knows.
I was going to ask that
how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing a lot of physical work when you're campaigning. You're going door to door. If you're not going door to door, especially in races like this, then what are you doing? So you're going door to door. If you have a job, you're doing it after your work. You're recruiting volunteers to help you do that. You're calling people. It's a lot that goes into campaigns. So kudos to him.
Yeah, definitely. And on top of Matthew Tisdale that you mentioned, there's also Cedric, but I'm trying to remember his last name. I don't know. I can't find him on Facebook. Maybe he got me black. I don't know why, but
I think that is his name, Cedric. That's the guy who ran for commissioner at one point, and then I think he ran for Congress.
Yeah, he ran for House Rep against James Bush.
Oh, that's Cedric. The person I'm thinking about still. It's a picture of him in my head. I still can't remember. But
yeah, it's Matthew. No, you're right. His name is Matthew. But there's also Cedric as well, who's another example. But both of them.
It's three guys, because there's another guy too.
It's another guy.
I know Matthew Tisdale. Yeah, it's another guy who's been running for stuff too. It's a couple. Actually,
I think. Oh yeah, Mike.
Hepburn. Mike Hepburn.
Hepburn,
Mike
yes.
Hepburn.
He has
Yes,
ran
I'm
for a
like,
lot of things. Oh my gosh, he ran for. You see him everywhere. He's from down south. Yeah, he
mhm.
ran for a lot of. He puts in a lot of work though, based on what he's told me. Like, oh, I went, I was knocking on these doors and stuff. There's a group of them. There's a lot of them out there, and they're trying to, based on what he was telling me. I had a conversation with him when I covered politics for another paper in Miami, and he was telling me there's a group of them. So they're out there and they're working, and
That's good. That's good because they're close to the issues that are happening. So that's great.
And then shout out to the current chairwoman of the Broward County Public Schools Board, and that is Rosalind Osgood, Dr. Rosalind Osgood. Want to put that DR on there for her PhD. And she won the Senate primary, so she's going to go head to head with a Republican candidate in the general, in the general election. And so that area includes Margate, Pompano Beach, Tamarack, so North Lauderdale, so the north side, Lauderdale Lake. So we have a lot of us down there, Oakland Park, Plantation, and parts of Fort Lauderdale. And so this is good news for her. She's been on the board for a long while, has a lot of accolades. She's also the first female pastor at one of the biggest, I think it's the oldest, but it's also one of the biggest Black churches in Broward County, and that's in the Sistrunk neighborhood. So shout out to her for her huge accomplishment. So she still has, one more leg to this race. And she did resign, however, and that takes effect in March. But that is when the primary election will be March 8th. So please go out and vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for at all, but just you should vote based on our previous conversation about, leaders that look like us. So yeah.
I love Dr. Osgood. I know I'm supposed to be unbiased, but I mean, I like her. She's a friend of the show. She's come on High Low News to talk about, at the time she was coming on to talk about the importance of the vaccine. And she's so, if you ever heard her speak, she's so charismatic and so funny and so real. And so I'm a little bit sad to see her leaving Broward County Schools, but I'm happy to see that she's, going on to a position where she could maybe have more influence. And I'm hoping that whoever comes in that position can carry the mantle. But Dr. Osgood is really good for the community. You could, certain people, when you work in the community and be around, you kind of tell they ain't really. She's one of those people where you could kind of tell her energy is pure, and not kind of tell, but you could tell her energy is pure. So I was happy to see that she won the Senate primary. Corinne, are you familiar with Dr. Osgood?
Just how she's moved through Broward County schools, and I mean her name is gold in Broward County schools. So I think that if she wins, they'll be lucky to have her.
The thing is, I mean, it's kind of bittersweet. I'm always supportive of people elevating themselves, and that's great. The only thing is, that with her leaving, that leaves no Black school board members in Broward County. My child goes to school at a Broward County public school, so I mean, she doesn't represent my district, but overall, still, when that vote is done, we would want somebody on the board that would vote in our interest. So that's the only thing about that situation. But of course, that opens the door, as we mentioned, for other candidates to come in.
Yeah.
And I mean, the parents can demand that someone with our interests be voted in to the board. So it's up to us.
Well, dang, both of the school boards got some, changes coming up too right now.
Yes, for sure. Right now, the search is on in Miami-Dade County for a new superintendent. As you know, Carvello, he's leaving. And so there's a long list of candidates that they're considering. I'm keeping my eye open and watching that one. But shout out to Tawana Atkins. She is a community activist that mostly everybody knows. And she actually just started this not the new school year, but this new semester, the beginning of the year, as the assistant principal of Miami Southridge Senior High School. She has a long history in education. She also won several awards for that, as well as for social justice, and was selected. She was a finalist for Miami-Dade County Teacher of the Year, and she was the Teacher of the Year probably more than 100 times at the schools that she's been at. And she's very loved in the community because of her voice as an activist for social justice, anti-violence activist. Also a note, her nephew, I would think his
King Carter.
My nephew was King Carter, who was unfortunately, he's known for being a victim of gun violence. He was very young, I believe 6 years old when he was killed, and that that's something that she's used to fight for others with that pain. So definitely happy about that. And a lot of people showed love to her. A lot of people know her. So big things for happening for Tawana Atkins. I think she deserves it.
Congratulations to her.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and I could be biased in this situation.
It's always good when you have somebody who cares about the community in those positions. And like you said, unfortunately, like, of course, she was known because of the work she was doing in education, but she was thrust into the national spotlight and on local news because of the tragedy of the senseless murder of her nephew, King Carter. But to see like how she, took that and kept going and kept inspiring and saving other kids, I think is so commendable. And Southridge has a gem in her down there being in leadership. So congratulations. And she actually liked and replied to our post. A lot of people liked and commented. So we just saw from there like how much the community really rocks with her.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, she does a lot. She does a lot for the community. I can't stress that enough. And, I've actually worked with her in education as well. So I know how she is. And she cares about children. She really does.
So. Yeah. How great is that to have someone from your community over a school? Because who better to be able to understand when students come in with problems than someone who is from that community? Right. I think that's very important. Sometimes, not sometimes, most times that's missed.
So yeah, we had a lot of education stories this week. We also talked about what's going on in in schools right now with
COVID in the schools. Yeah.
But before I get into that, we have a new story that came out today regarding student loan forgiveness. Right. So what it is that Navient, also known as Sally Mae. So we're going to just call them Sally Mae because we know them as Sally Mae.
That's Sally Mae? That's Sally Mae new name? Oh, she got a brand makeover, Korean.
Sally Mae to put on a wig and call herself another name. Forget Sally Mae. I can't stand her. But
she's still taking our money.
Now, 39 states have sued her. Well, Sally Mae, we calling her. Because of some of the practices. They're saying that the company was deceptive. In some instances, they messed up and caused people to have late fees and misled a lot of borrowers. And I'm hoping I'm on the list because they're going to give you your money back. So they in all, I can't get the
it's
number.
about $1.7 billion in student loans.
But I wonder if that's a final judgment, though.
Oh yeah, that's the settlement. That's what they agreed on. But they're also going to pay back additional money. So that is how much. So they're going to pay in Florida in particular. Let's say in Florida in particular, the entire settlement for Florida is $199 million. But some of that, I think 11 million. So some of it, right, is actually money that they're going to forgive, and then the rest of it is money they're going to get to send back to you. So let's say for me, for instance, I had to pay Sally Mae money. They garnish my check or whatever. And if I'm on that list, then they're going to send me back my money. But the other student loans that I have, that were sent to them, that if they were sent to them, then they would be forgiven, so I wouldn't have to worry about paying them. So that's basically what it is. So right now, so right now there's 199 million for some of us in Florida. These are federal borrowers. So if you did get, most of us did. I don't know who didn't. Where they at? Let me know. When it comes to borrowing, because some people have scholarships and grants and stuff, but a lot of the borrowing went to the federal government. So you're gonna get some money back. So, and some of your loans forgiven. And I feel like student loans is something for people, for educated Black and brown students who don't have that family support, because not everybody does, or have that general, because a lot of us don't have generational wealth. And then now the workforce, we got our degree and we're proud, and some of us are first generation, some of us are not, but it doesn't matter. We go into this field,
you're chained into that debt.
And if you're a first generation, how hard is that? Because you don't have your parents that's helping you carry this burden, so you have this debt burden, and it's sickening. That's all I got to say about it, because it's like
there's a whole business centered around, trying to get student loans forgiven now, because it's so hard. And from what I understand, Navient didn't even have a student loan forgiveness program.
Wow.
Right. So that was definitely one of the things. And they were calling me back in the day.
I have student loans, so mine's aren't through Sally Mae. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna be one of these lucky people to win the lottery, the student loan debt lottery. But hey, if you do got them, I pray you are in the number. Okay,
I'll
that
dig
you are
into
chosen.
finding out. As the information becomes available, like how if you can find out, where do you go to find out if you're gonna get this money, or if there's a letter gonna come in the mail, or whatever the case may be. So right now I don't have the details, because this just happened yesterday. Now, moving on from that, for sure. So as I stated, we also covered, what's going on in schools. We have this new variant, like every minute when you blink your eye, there's a new variant. And but this new outbreak that we have with record-breaking rates happened during the holidays. It just like happened overnight, and because of that, some of the schools are basically like ghost towns. I'm thankful for the traffic being the way that it is. But unfortunately,
when you have kids not wearing masks, what do they think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that DeSantis's rule? So,
Yep. When you have kids who are not, first of all, kids crazy, so they don't even keep on their masks when it is mandatory. So now you're telling them and their parents that it's not mandatory. So you have kids showing up with no mask on. Sometimes they're sick and they're spreading everything. I mean, what I don't know if you guys ever gone into like a kindergarten class. They don't even know you. They run up and hug you, spreading their germs all over the place. So,
Corinne, you're a mom too, right? I know Niamh's a mom. You're a mom too, right, Corinne?
yes.
Like, do your kids go to school in Broward County? Do both your kids go to school in Broward County?
So my 15-year-old son goes to school in Georgia, but
Okay.
my kids, the older kids used to go to Broward County.
Oh, well, my 16-year-old, I shouldn't even tell her. You see, I'm not going to be telling my age like she is, but my daughter goes to a Broward County public school. Yes. My son, he goes to a private school, which masks aren't mandatory there at all, and they don't wear it. Some of them. Yeah.
Manage that as parents, because I just don't know what
anxiety. That's all.
So do your kids not wear masks when they go to school, or does it not matter if they're wearing a mask and then everybody else not? Like,
well, my daughter wears her mask, as far as I know, because I'm not at the school with her. But when I've seen her, I've never seen her slip up with that situation or whatever, and I'm very strict on her. She could attest to that. But my son, he's been fine with it for a while, and he's been in school for a long time. I could not manage with public school, and he was in kindergarten when this virus broke out, so I just couldn't do it and work. So he's been fine, but all of a sudden at the time when it's most critical, he decides he doesn't want to wear the mask. So I've been picking him up from school, and he doesn't have the mask on, and he's just walking casually, and I'm like, why don't you have your mask on? And he looks at me and says, I'm hungry. And the second day is the same thing. So I think he's like a typical man. He's very macho in that way. He's like, woman, shut up and just feed me. But the second day is the same thing. He does the same thing. So then I gave him a whole speech on Wednesday morning about, you can get sick. Mommy can get sick. Your dad can get sick. Your sister can get sick. You don't want that, whatever it is. It's very serious or whatever. And he says, yeah. And he still didn't wear his mask, but it was an aftercare. So he says in class he wears it, but it started to hurt because now I'm making him wear not the cloth ones, but the surgical ones, the KN95, because they're saying now don't wear. Yeah, which I don't like wearing it, so I don't blame him. But I work remote. I work from home, so I don't have to wear it all day. So I do understand. So I ended up just telling him, okay, baby, in aftercare, wear your face shield because I don't know what else to do. So but it has given me anxiety because I don't want to get sick. I don't want my family to get sick at all. But it's like right now, what can I do?
Yeah. And then the teachers don't have the power to tell the kids to put the mask on.
Well, yeah, and even though this is a private school he goes to, they don't mandate either. So it's the same situation as when but my child at her school, nobody's there. No one's there.
And Corinne, have you been having that issue as well with your children? Like, has that been like a issue that you've been having the battle with the schools? Because Georgia ain't too much different from Florida.
Oh, no, it's not.
It's not, but I mean, I tell my son he needs to wear his mask. I don't care what anybody else is doing, but I'm that type of parent. You have parents who that's their thing, oh, my freedom, my right. I don't want my kid to wear a mask. So
I don't know. People are just walking around like nothing's happening, and I don't get that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know what's so funny? It depends on the authorities, because I went to Maryland, everybody at church wearing their mask. When you go into the grocery store, everybody wearing their mask. People wearing their mask. The school that my niece goes to, Penn State, first of all, they're 80% vaccinated. So,
well, y'all know the Northeast is liberal, so they don't play them Southern games.
No, they don't play those games. But here it's like free for all. And did you know that Florida is the 4th state in COVID deaths? Did you know that? Because I didn't know that.
I try not to look at it. I really do, because if I look at it, then
it adds to that anxiety.
Yes, I'm open about my mental health at this point. So
yeah, so you have to be careful. I saw a meme the other day that said that, we now know those people who would be hiding their zombie bite. Did you guys see that meme?
No, but that's funny because that's literally I feel like what we're going through.
Yeah, it's people that get COVID and they don't even tell you.
You're talking about zombie bite. Forgive me for saying this, but you would know these are the people that will give you an STD and not say nothing, because that's how I feel about it. This is exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what's going on, because I've been seeing these memes going around. Like, I saw a meme where like a girl is like cursing out her mom because her mom gave her COVID and didn't tell her that she had COVID. I'm like, so people are really just being around other people?
Yes,
with the
yes. I've seen it and heard it.
I'm thinking these are jokes. This is like real life stories.
Real life story.
No,
I got one for you. How about someone went to a dinner party where people were supposed to, it was supposed to be an honor thing where people were supposed to get tested before they went to the dinner party. Someone didn't get tested. Somebody invites you to a dinner party and says, in order for you to come to the party, you need to get tested. If you have COVID, please stay home. It's an honor system. And someone didn't get tested and gave, I think it was like 12 or 14 people, something like that. And of the 14 people, 12 tested positive for COVID after the party.
Oh, I
So,
think I heard of
real
that.
story.
Mhm.
They
I heard
were so somebody lied.
Somebody lied. Why would you lie to go to somebody's dinner party?
people do it
That's
every day.
crazy.
People do it every day. Every
Yeah.
day. They don't care. They don't understand that there are people with underlying issues, health conditions that this could be severe for. And forget being vaccinated. Some of them do not want to get tested. Some of them feel
Hmm.
like, oh, they're going to actually get the virus from testing. That
Oh,
the virus is in that long Q-tip. So, you know, but I can
I
testify.
can't.
No, I've been tested numerous times, more than I can count, and I have not tested positive for COVID. I don't think I've ever had it. If I did have it, I didn't know. Or the only time I think I could have gotten it was in the beginning when before they were announcing cases, I had a really bad. My friend had a bad flu. I went to the hospital, and then 2 days later, I got it. But otherwise, after testing, I never got it. Yeah, but
Mm.
yeah. So, but also some news that's going on in schools in Broward County once again. So the board there voted to um, implement
I knew that
handheld
was
metal
coming.
detectors in schools.
No, we're talking about protection from COVID. The kids about to be getting getting protection with handheld metal detectors.
It's a
I'm
natural
not mad at it.
progression.
I'm not mad at it. Some
It's a
people like
natural progression because we don't want to do anything about the handguns and how easy it is for them to get guns. So it's a natural progression.
some people who commented say, it's about time. But someone that commented today said that, or today or yesterday, whichever day it was, but later, most recently said that they feel like Black children are going to be targeted with
I
this.
was gonna say that when I saw the story, I said this is good. We have Columbine, we had Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Like these things are tragedy. Sandy Hook. So there needs to be a solution. But anytime they put these policies and stuff in place, it disproportionately affects our community. And so to me, I was like, well, who's going to be harassed? Who's going to be stopped and searched? Are we going to have a new stop and frisk? Like, what's going to be the policy? Does everybody get, searched? Like, are they going to do random searches? Like, I remember when I was in school, like they would have the random, searches and they'll do the metal detector. But I'm like, what is this? What does this look like, Niamh? Like, is this going to be an everyday thing or a random thing?
Well, that was not specified in what I read, but I would have to look at the entire legislation to see the code and see what's there. But I know that as far as it says that it's going to be at every school, I believe that it should be. To be fair, it should be with everyone. If they single people out, that would just be stupid because you don't know who's going to have a gun or not, and most of the time, it's not us.
So it's one thing to have these type of policies, but it's another thing to pay for it, right?
That is
That's true.
true.
So I'm trying to figure out where, because they're always claiming that they don't have money for teacher raises, they don't have money
Great
for
point.
this, they don't have money for that. So how are they going to get the money to pay for this? And once they get the money, because these metal detectors aren't cheap.
Mhm.
Once they get them, and then okay, so you got the metal detectors, then you have the people who need to install it, then you have the maintenance of it.
Right.
So I'm wondering, are they going to use this as an excuse to put it at schools that they feel are in bad neighborhoods first, and then later
Mm.
on, years later, put it in other um, areas?
Well, they're handheld, so they won't be people installing them, just be things that they're purchasing. So
Oh,
this,
handheld.
yeah. So the thing is that after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting, Parkland shooting in other terms, um they they're the board was under a lot has been a lot of under a lot of pressure since then to implement safety measures across the school across the school system to protect children, and money was set aside years ago. I don't know if this is the same funding, but there's money set aside for school safety. There is. So I don't know the details, but would look into find out where it's coming from. But there is money set aside for school safety because of that situation. So
That's
and
Those
one
were
of
those were great points, Corinne. Because that's a good, like, where does this money come from? Who's paying for it? Who gets
mhm,
the contract?
right.
But see, then that's another question. Because see, when I think about those things, I think about how are they going to facilitate this? Because you have, all right, so handheld metal detectors. You have all these influx of students coming into the school. So you're gonna have extra time to wand everyone down. And
I know,
then
what does that process look like
yeah,
going into school?
there's multiple entry points into schools nowadays. You can't
Right.
just come in one way.
That'll
Well,
take
no,
forever to get through a
no.
handheld.
There's not multiple. There, I wouldn't say that that's not true anymore.
Oh,
Because
No?
really?
Oh, so you can't come in
since,
schools?
since Parkland, no, yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
Since
interesting.
Parkland, it
You see,
doesn't
I
get
don't got no kids, so I don't know.
Well, there used to be.
Yeah, it used to
That's
be, but since
and I'm going from when my old ass was in school. So I'm like, yeah, I remember walking through the back, through the side, wherever
Yes,
you.
yes.
yeah, a lot of things have changed in Broward County schools since Parkland, and now it's like they're very serious. They barely want to let you get on campus, and then there's only one way to get in. I mean, with COVID, I barely go on campus now, but prior to COVID, and as soon as that Parkland situation happened, even at one point, like when Parkland first happened, they was not even like the gate was locked. So you had to go through a process in order to get in. Someone had to meet you at that gate before they unlocked that gate and verify everything. So I mean, they got a little bit now. They let you in or whatever. But like at my daughter's current school, they have like a buzzing thing that they would have to buzz you in. So they have changed that because
Wow.
of yeah.
See, I'm
And
out
there's
the
so many
game.
threats and
I
everything.
had no idea, but it
But
makes
yeah,
it
we're
makes
saying
a lot of
because of
sense.
that, they've implemented a lot of things and they set aside money to implement more. So I'm gonna definitely look into that. That's those were really really great questions for sure because you always got to worry about where the money is coming. It's coming out of your pocket, girl. That's the answer.
Yeah, we paying for it. So we go from ready for jail to ready for love because that's what it sounds like to me. But are you guys familiar with the own show Ready for Love? And it's hosted by nephew Tommy from the Steve Harvey Morning Show.
I saw snippets.
I've seen I watched a couple of episodes here and there, but they're actually bringing the show to Miami, and so they're casting. Are you guys single? Would you throw your bid in? Like, would you guys be a part of a reality show to find true love?
Well, my girlfriend, she was the one who actually sent me this flyer and said, "Oh, you should be on this show." But I wouldn't do it. Unfortunately, number one, I look too desperate and I ain't thirsty like that. And then but it would be good exposure for High Low News and Caribbean American Web Child. But
Always a business play. Wait, Corinne, are you married or are you single?
So I am definitely married, but if I was
Oh,
single, I still wouldn't do this show.
look at me about to get you. I'm like, Corinne, you should do it.
I still would do
Y'all
this show
please do
because
it.
how I see people acting on these shows, I don't want anything to do with that.
on
Now
that
I will
particular show,
say, mhm,
Corinne, you
what'd you
mean on
say?
that particular show?
I'm sorry?
You mean on this particular show? How you've seen
No,
them act
no, how I see people acting
in
on these type
general?
of dating shows, I don't
Mhm.
want anything to do with it.
Oh,
Because number one, I don't really have a filter, right?
I was gonna say that next. I said I just don't know how to be fake. I just cannot do it.
Yeah. And then second of all, the way they be swapping spit with everybody, I don't want to do that. One girl kissed the boy and another girl kissed the boy. No,
No,
I don't want
I
to do
cannot
that.
do it. See, that's what I mean. You get along. I just could not. I could not.
See, I will say this because Oprah try not to have too much foolishness on her network, so it's not as provocative and
Okay.
dramatic as like a Love and Hip Hop or even like The Bachelor, but they do have they drama. And then also too, the casting is like ages 30 to 50, so you're just gonna get a different level of maturity
That's a
anyway, just
big
with that
wide range
from
too.
that
30 to
demographic.
50.
I'm not gonna give all my tea on the World Wide Web, but that's not that big of a deal to me.
That's what I was about to say. I had to think about it. Did I say this or not? No.
30 to 50?
I, I've dated that old. I have.
Yeah, there's some
It
attractive older guys out there, very attractive,
I
that
like them
take care of
older.
themselves
I
and
don't know if I could do 20 years. Dang.
I
there's some
think it depends on what like if you 50 and he's 70, then maybe not. But and honestly, 50 ain't really 50 no more. Like you could really be
that's true,
like
but
35, and I wouldn't know how old. First of all, Black people, like when y'all was saying y'all kids' age, I'm like, I ain't want to shock. I'm like, I don't know how old Black people are. Everybody's
I
25 to
know,
me.
right?
Everybody 25 years old to me until they hit 70. That's when you really start aging as a Black person. But that's so I think it just depends. I honestly feel like this, like to go on the show looking like for real love and being serious. No, but if I was single, I would give it a shot just to see what would happen. Like you said, it could be a good business opportunity, but also too, like you just never know. You may find
You may.
love.
I mean, that one, there are some couples that have gone on to get married and things like that off of these shows. So that, kudos to them or whatever. Let's see if we see someone we recognize on it.
I know. I think that'd be really cool. But y'all right, sometimes you're like, because it's production. We all are in media. They kind of shift them stories to be what they wanted to be. So it's almost like you have
Exactly.
no control over like what people's perception would be of you. So that's the
It's
only thing.
Miami, so you might see some people who already have a woman on there or a man or whatever. You know how that goes.
Maybe they open. Maybe it don't matter if you
Oh yeah,
date and get other
it's poly
people.
life these days. Poly life.
Okay.
Poly and open and everything.
He's on.
I think it's I like I said, I haven't watched the seasons all the way through, but I'll be tuned in from Miami. I'll definitely
Yeah,
be
I
tuning in.
definitely. I have to watch that. I
We
definitely
could
have to
probably
watch
review it for y'all and let y'all know
Yeah,
how we
because I
like
want
it.
to see too if somebody if there's someone I know on there too.
Oh, y'all know we gonna see somebody. If it ain't what I ain't no way they could do casting in the city and not see somebody that you know. Like we're gonna see somebody.
Another thing too is Miami got its own flair, so that'll be interesting to watch.
Right. Yeah.
But
These
y'all
are
know a
some.
lot of transplants here. They
Oh
may
yeah,
get
that's
it.
true.
There may be somebody who's right from New York get casted for Miami.
That's true.
For
Well,
sure.
just switching gears a little bit, we go from healthy love life to just a healthy life. Now you reported about Councilman Robert Stevens out of Miami Gardens has a new healthy living initiative. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So he actually launched two. And yesterday was the first Juice It Thursdays where he is offering residents natural juices, organic juices. I saw some photos from that. Looks like a good amount of people came out. I think it's a good opportunity to also to get to know your neighbors and socialize. And it's outdoors, but definitely also pushes, um, eating healthy, and if I think if people get a taste of that for sure, they will know that it's okay to try those things. And a lot of our communities are food deserts, and we have a lot of like fried foods and things. So I think that was good on his part. And he also is doing these quarterly walks in Miami Gardens. At the Betty T. Ferguson complex. So he's inviting residents to come out and go for those walks, get the exercise and get the blood flowing. And again, a way to socialize and get to know your neighbors and talk and see what's going on in the community. So that's a good look. I
And you
think.
know what? I'm sorry, Corinne.
Oh no, you can go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say he's a part of that wave of those new young millennial elected officials, and to see the work that he's been doing in the Miami Gardens community, it's been pretty good. I'm liking what Robert has been doing so far in that in the North Dade area. Um, have you been familiar with Councilman Stevens, Corinne, or like what's going on in Miami Gardens?
Not really, but I know that for years they've been well, they've had initiatives that have started up in Miami Gardens and they kind of
That's
like
true.
waned. So I'm glad that they're starting something new, and I hope that that's something that they can implement regularly.
Right.
There are a lot of health issues in Miami Gardens. People that are affected by health issues in Miami Gardens. So I'm really hoping that this is something that they can implement and it has longevity.
Right. I hope it's
Um,
something, yeah. Sorry.
yeah,
I'm hoping it's something that will motivate people not to do on their own as well, and not just like, one-off situations whenever they're doing it. And
But you
Miramar did some walks. He's known for doing those, but I haven't
The
heard about him
runs.
in a while. Yeah.
And Oliver Gilbert, it seems like because he used to have his healthy initiatives and he would do challenges, especially at the
Oh
top
yes,
of the
he
year.
did. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
to me, it seemed, and I think that's his district as commissioner. So I think they're partnering on some things together. So I think it's pretty cool that he's continuing that Live Healthy initiative that was started, like you said before, Corinne. Like they've been doing this, and when they change positions, when there's new leadership in some programs don't continue, some
That's what I
do.
was gonna say.
So I think, like you said, anything healthy, especially in our community, we can always use that. Like any
Yeah, and I
incentives to
mean,
keep
what they really need is like a task force that is not just one person that's pushing the initiative, but maybe a committee of people that are pushing the initiative, and to give
is
those people the power.
Live Healthy Miami Gardens is what I'm not sure if they're still in existence. I think I've seen stuff for them as early as like a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago. I wonder if that initiative is still going because I know they were having things, but I still feel like with certain like bigger pushes, you still need the council member to kind of like move
Exactly.
it along.
No, that's true. And you know what? That now that you mentioned them, they are still around. They did a lot of work during the pandemic. So, and I know
That's
that
true.
they were doing a lot of surveys. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had received some grants, but I don't know exactly what they were doing with those grants. So you're right, they are still in existence.
Yeah. Well, kudos to Robert. Like I said, he's doing some good things. He's trying to be more community focused. He's doing like one-on-one conversations and um he's working. He's doing what the people told him to come in there to do.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
I wanted to pivot us over to this story just so that people know, just give this announcement about Jessica over founder of South Promo. She does marketing and a lot of events and she's giving away a free course.
Wow.
And you've been giving me all the content this week. You wrote about this one, Niamh too.
Yes, for sure. I actually signed up for this course, being that I am a
Oh,
new
cool.
small business owner. But Jessica, she's been in the game since what 2015. And her company, through her company, she offers marketing, PR, and event planning services. She's really good with the event planning. I've attended many of the launches and things that she has put on. I've just got into event planning. I don't know how she does it, but
It's
she's
a lot.
so, but anyway, this marketing course that she's doing, she's offering it to, small businesses so that you can learn how, what your brand is, how to present your brand. And, one of the things that she was saying is that your brand is your DNA, is your business's DNA. So that's interesting in itself. But that's what drives people to you. That's what lets people know who you are. So I'm gonna do the course, y'all, and see how that goes and how that's gonna help me. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, tell us
This is
about that.
awesome.
Corinne, are you familiar with South Promo and have you done any work with her before?
No, I just saw this just like you. I mean, that's a great thing. I would like to connect with her to see maybe we can do something bigger together. Because this is so needed. This is essentially why I started my business, is because there are a lot of small businesses that they're barely surviving. And if they were to um get some tools to kind of open up their business to not just the small market that they're in, but to a more global market, they will be able to really thrive. So this is something that is very needed in our population. And I really hope that everyone who is a business owner or entrepreneur signs up and registers for her course.
That's good. And it's crazy. I was going to ask you, like, do you feel like it's needed? Because, so many courses were coming out, especially since the pandemic. But I was going to ask you, like, what do you think about these courses, Corinne? So I'm glad you kind of touched on that.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know her, but it seems like, just from reading the description, it seems like it's something that maybe, anyone who is just maybe beginning may be able to understand it, because some courses go over people's heads.
Mhm.
um the number one thing that I tell my clients is you got to start at square one. So you can't go straight to, oh, I'm going to create some funnels. Like, no, you got to, first thing you need to do is figure out what your vision is, what your goal is. Because once you know what end result you want, then you can start creating the steps. So.
No, that's very true. And I'm like, she's done a lot of work, great work in the community. She's a supporter of High-Low News. I support South Promo, and she's like a really dope person. So to see her giving back even more, I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like you don't see a lot of people saying, I'm going to do something for free. Because I thought it was a paid course, and I thought that was cool. Then I said, oh, it's free. Like a lot of people don't give you free game, especially businesses. Unfortunately, we always hear that saying crabs in a barrel, and people get on and don't want to share. So the fact that she's like, I'm gonna give y'all this free knowledge, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, she definitely gives back to the community, so shout out to her for sure, always.
Yeah. And even if you have, like, say for instance, a nonprofit or just an organization, you should still sign up for a course like that, because a lot of nonprofits, where they falter is they're not visible. So they don't get as many donations as any other nonprofit that is promoting themselves. So that, that's needed for that too.
Very true. And speaking of promotions, this next story, we can't get in too deep as I want to, but we got to touch on it because it was a hot button, hot conversation this week. Hungry Black Man blog, Niamh wrote about a review that he did. He's starting a tour of Caribbean restaurants in South Florida. He's on a mission to find the top Caribbean restaurants in South Florida. And during his live, he mentioned feeling unwelcome when he went to these restaurants. And you two, all of us have our ethnic background, all of us have connection to the Caribbean. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation to say the least. But Niamh, give us a little background on what you wrote about.
Well, I did mention that he said he felt unwelcome, and he said, I posted the video, and in there he did mention that, out of the several places that he visited that weekend, many of them he experienced bad customer service, and the places that had the worst customer service had the best food. And he also the main thing I do want to mention is that he went on this mission to showcase these businesses to make sure that they they can get more traffic outside of their current traffic, right? And he did post today a text message with someone thanking him, saying, they got people out. But another thing was, it was like the way that he was trying the food too kind of got him a lot of backlash. And I did post a video where in the video he was trying aloe pie, and it had a lot of pepper, and then the way he was like, oh my God, it's like so hot, and people were kind of not feeling that because it was like,
this video right here.
Food. Yeah, you didn't think about our culture. And then he kept calling royalty roadie. So Caribbean people, they're very sensitive.
For real. Ridiculous.
The crazy thing about it is, like, I know Star-X, and his heart is like, he's super like Black people, Black unite. So for him, it was like, I want to, because I actually spoke to him after we posted this story. And he was like, the mission was to bring Black people together through food. And so, and him, first of all, I'm not gonna laugh at it. He's gonna be so mad at me. Star-X, I love you. We still cool. I'll give him, like, he's one of the first supporters at High-Low News. So he's definitely a friend of the blog, and we repost his stories. He reposts our stories. He also has his media outlet, Hungry Black Man. But this, I know he's gonna be mad, but y'all go watch this video. It's funny as fuck. I know. I hope I'm not offending my Caribbean brothers and sisters, but the way he's choking on this thing, I'm like, what's going on? He's a character. He needs a show. But I think he brought up a very needed conversation, though. Just real shit. Like,
yeah. I think
it's a real, like, Corinne, like, right? Like,
listen, okay, so for all of the people, I know we're not gonna go deep into it.
We're gonna have it's that serious that we're gonna do a whole separate, like, panel discussion. I definitely want to bring you two back and bring some other, like, voices on this, but just to let
Yes.
the people know that.
Yeah. And just for, anyone who's saying that, oh, he shouldn't be doing this or he shouldn't be doing that. And, because of course, with every dish, there's a backstory, because for me, like, say for instance, if I go to like jerk machine or something, I don't want to eat jerk machine because I don't like really spicy food. Even though my background is Jamaican, I don't really eat spicy food like that. So I
Yeah, me
wouldn't go
either.
in and order that. So, that may be missing, but you have to be great. You have to extend grace to him. And the reason why is because in Jamaica, the model for Jamaica is out of many one people, right? So it's
Mm.
all about having unity, right? So that's exactly what he's trying to do. So why would you be cussing the man out because he's trying to do exactly that?
Because those people
So
have no sense. That's all. And that's the whole. He's proved the point that there's so much separation, and we're so quick to be negative instead of being positive. Yes, the way that he ate the food was not that's how he felt
As
when he
polite,
yeah, it wasn't polite. But the thing is that um if a tourist, as because one of his goals is to have outside people to visit these restaurants, if a tourist was supposed to go, they wouldn't know. It's up to
exactly.
the person there at the restaurant to educate the consumer,
Yes.
and they did not educate him, and they put all that pepper on his food, and they shouldn't have been like that.
Yes.
It's not his fault. It isn't his
Yes.
fault.
Like the first time I went to Chef Creole and got the what do you call the thing? The
pickles.
conch salad. Lord.
Oh, conch salad. Oh, yeah,
Yo, they
gotta be
conch salad
spicy.
nearly killed me.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think you too, like, I don't know if it's like a should you know, should they educate you? I'm not even sure like how that would work, because it's like you wouldn't know to ask that question, and then they probably wouldn't know to tell you, hey, this is spicy. Like, it's like, this
Right.
is what it is,
Right,
you
because they
know.
didn't know they didn't when he went, he didn't present himself as, hey, I'm a food critic, I'm a food blogger, I'm American or whatever. Well, I didn't go inside of there with him, so I can't say that. So I'm wrong. But if he did do that, then they should have catered to him in that sense and educate him and say, well, this is pepper. You're American. I don't know if you are gonna um want this much pepper, because Trinidadians, they like a lot of pepper in their food. I can't eat their food with a lot of pepper. I always tell them slight pepper or no pepper at all, because Trinis love pepper. Okay, they love pepper. They have this pepper called ghost pepper. They have all type of peppers, and it's
Mm.
ridiculously hot. So I know he went through some stuff. Yeah, just speaking
And I,
on his behalf, but we'll dissect that for real. There's some things that
yeah.
different, and he has since then has approached it in a different way. So
Yeah. And even he and I we were talking about it, and he was just saying, he felt like, just real shit. I'm gonna have the conversation. He felt like our headline was a little bit not misleading, or it wasn't accurate, because we didn't, share in the headline like what his mission was. And I felt like I understood where he was coming from, but I also, Niamh, to me, didn't do anything wrong. It was just kind of like it was two ways we could have presented the story, and neither one was wrong to me. And so that's
Yeah.
why it's still up. And even he was like, I said it, so I can't take it. It's like, I'm not, he's like, it's journalism, it's media, I get it. So I'm not saying take it down or anything. And he's like, I get why she's wrote that, because that's what I said. He just felt like because of what his mission was, and so many people were like coming at him, and he said it just had died down. He was like, man, this came up, and it's like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to fight this all over again.
but
But
actually,
you actually were in agreement with him about like the customer
right,
service,
that's what I was about to say.
and
I feel
understood where
like,
he was coming from.
right, I feel like the main thing that he said in that video was about that, and I feel like the main experience he had was bad customer service, and that right there needs to be fixed. I feel like that's the larger conversation. All that other shit, because we cussing tonight. All that other shit
Oh, y'all know I cuss. So.
is irrelevant. Like all that bickering that people is doing, and some people are saying, well, there are memes and there are videos out there talking about Jamaican restaurants in particular, because they're the most popular restaurants, Caribbean
Yes.
restaurants with bad customer service, and they're known
But
for
that
that.
don't mean that it's right.
Whatever. But why do we keep condoning that foolishness?
Yes.
I sometimes I stop eating at so many Jamaican restaurants as soon as the minute that they come with this attitude and I feel like I'm begging for something. Oh, you're not gonna get my dollars. Sorry. I let them know I'm not coming back here because I'm not gonna deal with this whole attitude when I'm spending my money and it's not right. Why? Oh, you think people are just gonna keep coming back? No, it needs to change. It needs to change. I'm sorry. You have to have better customer service than that. Especially there's 100 freaking Jamaican restaurants on my block alone. I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
based on where I live. So it's like I don't have to come here to get Jamaican food. I know how to cook it anyway, but I'm just saying I don't like fast food. So when I'm in a rush, then I would want to get some hot food. But I don't have to come here. I can go next door. There's 100 Donnas and 100 freaking Dutch pots around. So, you got to do better than that.
And Corinne, you brought up a really good point about like improving customer service. Even when we're talking about Jessica from South Promo's business and how there are a few things that you could tweak as a business owner to get more business and to improve your business and get a more mainstream clientele if that's your goal. And so like what did you think when you saw, I know you mentioned it a little bit, like, but when you saw the post, like what what were your thoughts, especially like you being Jamaican and then also you having that marketing and branding and business background?
Well, the first thing I thought was I've gone to some Jamaican restaurants and felt unwelcome. So I sympathize with him,
Thank you.
Now this thing, we've been banging the pot for a long time about them getting better at customer service. But it's not even just about customer service. It's about consistency, right? So I've gone to restaurants before where I go on Thursday and the food good, and I go on Saturday and the food is bad. And I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying some of them are like that. So every restaurant, every business needs to have a system. And that system should include anything from hiring, quality of food, inventory, the way that you greet a customer, the way that you handle cash, the way you check out, the way you answer the phone. Every business should have a process to that. And that's the thing why Jamaican businesses only have what do you call it? A life shelf, not life shelf,
Shelf
like a
life.
shelf life, yeah. To where, I don't know if anyone has ever done a study to see how long these businesses survive, but from the time when I was a little girl to now, you know how many Jamaican restaurants I've seen at the same spot, open, close, open, close, open, close. Because you have to have some type of system. You can't just open up a business and says, let me throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And when you have great food, but your service is horrible, you're going to get the same customers over and over again, because there's only a small amount of customers that will deal with that. So if you get someone who, say for instance, you get a tourist, right? Someone that comes to Miami often. They come to your spot, the food is good, but the service is horrible. They're not going to come back. They're going to say, you know what, let me find another place because I'm spending my money and I'm coming here and the person has an attitude, or they're cussing me out because something is, because Jamaican restaurants, again, they run out of stuff.
And he mentioned all of the Caribbean. He was like the Haitian restaurants, the Trini. He was like all of them. He felt unwelcome. I know you mentioned Jamaican a lot, but I just want,
and the reason
I want
why I
them to
can
know,
say
like,
Jamaican is because I've only gone to Haitian restaurants like a couple times, so I can only speak on what I know. But as far as like the restaurants I know, you need to have a process. And most of these restaurants do not have process. And Caribbean restaurants, let me be fair. Caribbean restaurants are not the only restaurants that do that. Because I don't know if you ever seen Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay. Most restaurants are like that.
Add it to my list. Oh yeah, I watch Bar Rescue on I think it's TNT or something, one of those networks. And you're right. So it's just not a us issue. It's it may be a small business issue too, because I see the white people on them shows. They have crazy customer service and no systems in place, but I think, for us, we're judged more harshly. And if we, I hate that, but we have to do, a little bit better so that we could survive and thrive. And I think him bringing a light to that, I think it's a much needed conversation.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, you have to fix yourself before you go out and fix anybody else. So,
I have some-
because
yeah.
I hate when people say that it's not that we're judging. I don't want to say I hate, but it's not that we're judging the restaurants harshly. It's just that these are the places that we frequent. So
Right.
it's right
That's
in our
true.
face. So there should be some type of criticism, some type of feedback. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that you learn in marketing. You have to have the feedback of the very people that you're serving.
That's
So
true.
if you don't want to hear the feedback of the very people that you're serving, how do you expect your business to last?
They don't care.
Good part. It's a good point. Honestly, y'all, I don't even want us to give away all the good tea.
Yes.
We'll definitely send out promotion information for when we schedule that conversation about this with Caribbean restaurants and customer service, because I know me, I'm guilty. I keep going to Jamaica House and Miami Gardens and they're rude, but that food is good. I'm like this, I'm not gonna dine in here. I would never dine in here because that I couldn't take that service. But for me to sit in here and for you to just be like, what you want? Okay, I'm gonna leave. I don't have to, but I'm like, I wish it was nicer. Sometimes I feel uncomfortable too. I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm gonna just leave it alone.
Yeah, just breathe.
I get my order and go. I don't feel welcome, but I really want this curry chicken, so I'm gonna go. So, so like, I take it, but I'm guilty, and I don't think, like you said, there's nothing wrong with us holding each other accountable so we can improve and do better. And I think it's definitely time to have that conversation. So I'm hoping that you two could join me for that, because I think your insight is really good.
And
Yeah.
shout out to Islands in the Pines and Pembroke Pines, because they service always on point.
What is it?
Island in the Pines.
Okay.
Their food is good
And
too. I was saying
you were seeing something.
Their food is good too, but I was saying Corinne, she really, really made some very vital points, and hopefully whoever listens and has a Caribbean restaurant, has a small restaurant, small business as in the service industry, takes heed. And I think that, coming from an expert, maybe it would, not just a consumer, but an expert, maybe they would take your advice. I think that you should consider maybe even offering some type of course or something to target that market.
But will they take it?
Because it's almost like, too, we could say all the complaints, but if they like, I'm fine with the 500 people that come in here and we making our rent and I'm good. Like, if they like, I don't want no tourists coming in here.
Look, just
I'm gonna
like
stay
that.
rude.
I saw some comments that said we don't need tourists, or whatever. I don't want to see no tourists at Joy's making the lines long.
Well, for the ones who want it.
That comment.
Oh yeah, somebody did say that. Don't make the lines long.
I don't blame him, but still,
here's the thing. If all of us have this shared experience of where we felt unwelcome or uncomfortable or like offended, sometimes it's like that needs to change.
Yeah, it does.
Come on, that's a real issue.
From another group, what if a white person treated us like that at their restaurant?
Wow.
We would be in an uproar. But it's okay for
signs outside.
Picketing. Exactly. It's okay for us to treat each other like crap. Nah. It's not.
Good part. Good point.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to have this conversation because I feel like it's going to really like get people going. But I think it's needed, and I like that Starx started. I know he want to stay on the positive side, but I'm like, we're gonna have this conversation, and I like, let's get down to it. I'm gonna invite him to it if he comes. That'll be great. But I still think it's a conversation that's needed. So thank you, Niamh, for bringing that to our attention. Our last story tonight, I feel like we should end with, we're talking about the Caribbean, and this man is a giant, a legend. He, for me, and I definitely want to hear what you guys think of him. I'm talking about the late great Sidney Portier, who went on. He passed away this week. But for me, he was the epitome of like gentleman and class and grace and just greatness. Like he was almost like a demigod almost to me in my head. And I'm not gonna act like I've gone and watched all his movies. I've seen a few of his movies, but in my head, he's always been like, that's Sidney Portier. Like, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about it. Like, it's just he's a legend. And he passed away this week, and I feel like that is the end of an era. Part of like an era is coming to an end. And I'm almost like, will a man like that exist again? Corinne, like, what were your thoughts about the passing of Sidney Portier?
Yeah, definitely mourn the passing of Sydney. I had just watched Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, what it was like
Mm.
2 months ago. Because I had, that was one thing. My mother loved her some Sidney Poitier, okay? So I used to watch all his movies, back in time when you had like VHS tapes. I don't even know if you know what that is.
Know what a everybody on here are millennials. We know what a tape is.
We're not.
Okay.
A
I know I'm
VCR.
Some people may not
I got
know.
baby
Okay.
face and I got baby skin. You ain't got to tell me all that, but no, I know what it is.
So, yeah, so I used to watch all his movies. I mean, you're right, epitome of a gentleman. And just thinking back about, watching that movie, a lot of the stuff that was said in that film was relevant to today. And he was able to get that characterization across, even in from just a character that he was playing. And so I I'm so sorry to his family for the loss. We really lost a great one. Most of these people who are passing away right now, I don't see anyone really. You can't be replaced, but I don't even see anyone stepping into their shoes that's going to fill it the way that they have.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I really don't. I mean,
Not
yeah, like Janae says, is almost impossible. It's almost impossible.
Naeem, what were your thoughts? Because you cover Caribbean news, and like what were your thoughts when you saw the passing of him and what he meant for the Caribbean community? And he's from the Bahamas. Like, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we definitely lost a legend, and it's like you said earlier, it's like the end of an era. However, he leaves behind, like I said, a legacy, and with that, he paved the way for a lot of us, people from the Caribbean Americans, that we can come here and pursue a dream and actually be successful at it in a way where he won awards and he opened doors, being the first at this and first at that. So just um, you know, I I didn't it's like I felt sad about it, but at the same case, I understand that he's 94, and I'm very sorry for his family because any loss is a loss. But I was happy at least that to see that he lived a long life because he did
Mm-hmm.
so much great work. So I felt like his award for his contributions was to be able to live long, because not a lot of people could live to 94, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so but definitely he's there's no I don't feel like there's never going to be anyone else like that. I mean, I would compare the only other person I can compare him to is Rihanna, as far as someone who came from the Caribbean, and she didn't even come to America. She was actually discovered in the Caribbean, but she's a superstar in America. So people like him, they're very few. So it's sad to see that he's gone, and that my children would not be able to experience. They can still see his movies and so on, but get to see more of who he was, and see this legend while he was alive, because they're young and they're not paying attention. But he has opened the gate for other talent that are out there that have a Caribbean background, other Black and brown people, that they can get leading roles and um, create created Issa Rae and all the other people who are Black creatives that are creating pieces for us. So yeah, he's a hero in my book.
Definitely. And I love your comparison to like the Rihanna, because when I thought about it, I was like, who else has come from the Caribbean and made that much of an impact? And then also too, just on in acting and film, the only other person, and this is his like mentor, his protege, Denzel Washington, is another who kind of follow in his footsteps. And there's so many people look up to him. I was loving all of the black actors, the black male actors, talking about his impact on their life.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, you ever heard the saying like you left empty? Like he left nothing. Like, it's not
That's
like
what
you
everyone should wish
mourn.
for. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not like you said, even like Niamh, I agree with you. You're like, it's not like a total sadness. It's like, oh man, he's gone. But it's like you're also like you're proud of the life that he lived, and like he did all that he could do, like not just from an actor. He was a ambassador for the Bahamas. He's served on different boards. He's on the Disney board. He's done like so many different things. He was a director, a producer, so he's done so much. He's the first black man to win an Academy Award in a leading role. And I think his connection to Miami is so interesting, and it shows the time. I don't know if you guys heard the stories about like he came here when he was a teenager, and he pretty much got ran out of town by the Klan, and that him being grown up in the Caribbean, you guys probably can attest to that. Like it's that racism that exists here, it doesn't exist there. He's like, I couldn't acclimate to that. Like I had to leave. And so that sent him on his journey to New York. But he lived in Overtown. He lived in Liberty City. His family actually has strong roots in Miami. The Portier Funeral Home, who's been here for decades. I think his grand nephew recently passed away, but the Portier family is like trusted and loved in the Miami community. So this family has greatness, and he kind of is like that icon and that leader of the family. And it's so interesting, like his connection to Miami, and also like his legacy as well. He's going to be missed. And I went on a Sidney Portier deep dive. Like when he passed away, I wanted to watch all the interviews and all the clips and everything. I've seen his Oprah Winfrey's masterclass, and that's when I learned more about who he was, and that's when I learned he had spent time in Miami. But he's a dynamic life. Like what he went through, being the only one, with people like, oh, I'm opening the door, like literally there's no other black people on set in any part of the production. A lot of times it's just him. So just to imagine what he said, it was like a beautiful burden or something, like the way he described it, like the humbleness and the grace of him to be like, I had to take that burden on, but it was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. Like that just speaks volumes to me about the man he was.
Yeah. Have you ever watched his Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
I'm not, but it's on my list of all the stuff I want to see. Lilies of the Wild, Guess Who? I've seen his movies with Bill Cosby. I know Bill is controversial, but the movies were good. And I want to see more of his work. Even the black and white stuff. I have a little thing about black and white movies. That's when my millennial comes in. I'm like, it's so old, but I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, the reason why I said is because he got so much hate for that movie. In the movie, he's marrying a Caucasian woman. And she brings him home to dinner. I mean,
yeah,
it says it, so you would know that I'm not spoiling it. But there's snippets of him slapping the Caucasian father. And so that movie got
no,
much hate.
that's a different movie. The Heat of the Night, where he slapped the white man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He did a night.
Yeah, Heat of the Night. That's where he slapped the white man.
I'm sorry.
And they said that was a turning point in film and TV, because before that you'd never seen a black person do anything in violence or protest. I mean, to a white person. So he was like, for him, he wouldn't do the movie because he's like, that wouldn't be natural reaction to me. Like, y'all gotta put this in the movie. You ain't gonna slap me and not just slap back.
But can you imagine back in the day? Okay, so you have a movie about marrying a white woman, and then you have another movie about slapping someone. Can you imagine how much hate he got? I'm sure he got like some death letter,
Let's talk about the fact that, and no offense to anybody, no hate mail, please, but let's just talk about the fact that he did all this as a dark-skinned black man.
Yes.
And
come on now.
This is back then. You know what I'm saying? And even now, it's harder. It's hard to, to get these parts, based on your skin tone. So this is a dark skinned Black man doing this at this time on TV. So I mean, that's all I'm saying is that he really had to imagine how much hate he had to go through. You know, look at the amount of hate that Obama went through, and he's mixed. You know, so
That's a
imagine this:
great point.
you're slapping a white man on TV. That's a lot.
Yeah,
So he
that
made a lot of sacrifices. So he's a hero. He made a lot of
he's open.
sacrifices.
That's how we're able to be on here and talk our shit. He's able to do that and open these doors for us, and we're forever grateful to Sidney Portier. So rest in peace to him. Like you said, our condolences to his family, his 6 daughters, his wife, and all of the family and friends and loved ones. Like I know they're missing him right now. The world is missing him right now.
Yeah.
Man, ladies, we have reached the end. I know we haven't got to our MLK stories. Y'all watching, just go on the website. We're gonna send out a newsletter. It'll be too much to go through all of that. It's a parade. It's something going on in Miami Gardens. It's some stuff going on everywhere. Y'all go to the website. They'll give y'all a chance to go to the website and give us some clicks. Y'all, I'm so happy y'all came on and did this. I love this. I think people are gonna rock with it. I hope y'all rock with it. And I'm so glad y'all came on and did this with me. Help us break down these stories, these hot stories, hot topics that are going on today. Niamh, how can people connect with you if they want to follow you, if they want to support Caribbean American Web? What should they do? How can they connect with you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, which is the same at Niamh Says So, NYAMSAYSSO. And you can follow Caribbean American Web or Caribbean American Web, however you want to say it, on Instagram or Facebook. And not or Caribbean American Web is right there. So make sure you do that. Make sure you do that.
And Corinne, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so if you just go to any one of my handles, either Instagram or Facebook, I'm at Corrine17, and you can find all the information you need to follow me on my business page, which is at Opportunity Curator as well. But you can find all of that at Corrine17. I'll make it easy for you.
I love it. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been amazing. And like I said, I hope that people are enjoying this and like that we're breaking this down. Y'all listen to it like a podcast, get your news up for the week and know what's going on in the community. We breaking it down. It's for the Black perspective. We got these Black girl magic going on. So y'all got some good eye candy to look at. Get your news from some pretty people. No, I'm just saying no shade to the other. But but no, I really appreciate this, and I'm happy that we're able to do this, and I'm really grateful for you to join us for the first episode. Next week they'll be able to meet some more team members, and I'm hoping that you guys come back. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
Peace.
Good night. So, hello, news family. Thank you for joining me. As always, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Go to the website, sign up for our newsletter. We have some big news coming up. We're gearing up for a crowdfunding campaign so that we can continue to grow. So we'll definitely be giving you guys information about that. And you guys can check out these weekly news roundups every week. Y'all, this was amazing. It's a blessing for you guys to keep supporting us. And I thank you guys for rocking with us. Good night until next week.